Welcome back to No Sympathy for Kings, a rich man's podcast. I am your host, Ian. And keeping up with our annual tradition, I have back here the owners of not only the tax solutions, but also now the Jones consulting firm, Mr. and Mrs. Fran and Rudy Jones. Welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
So, a bit has happened since the last time we sat down. You two have experienced growth since then, and you've ventured out into other things. So, I wanted to first touch on the Jones consulting firm. Now, this is described on your Instagram as promoting sustainability and growth across the nation by supporting education for nonprofits and training leaders. So, tell me more about that. What does all that mean?
Honestly, it just encompasses everything that I am. So my mission in life is to develop and inspire others. So whether that's individuals on a one-on-one basis, whether that's going into businesses and nonprofits and making them be able to reach their highest potential, or training professionals. So it's really just encompassing all that I do. I'm a bit of a Jane of all trades, so it kind of just brought it all together.
Does that overlap with your tax business at all?
It does funnel business. I will say that. So I work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and so they need their 990s done, or they may need some consultation, and sometimes so it funnels itself to tax solutions, and even like vice versa. So he'll be working with different corporations, businesses, nonprofits, and they need some help with fundraising, or they need some help with their operations or program design. And those are all things that I know how to do.
Okay, that segues well into my next question. So, like, what inspired this decision to branch out? Were the opportunities identified through the tax business initially?
Honestly, it came about by realizing that my value comes from our minds. And so we're always answering questions anyway. We're always helping people anyway. And so it was just time to professionalize what it is that we were doing. And so I was always helping, fundraising, and doing certain things. So it was just time to kind of build that to make sense for our family and finances.
This has officially upgraded you to serial entrepreneur status, right? So, how has that changed your lives? Like going from, being individual contributors and professionals, like by day, if you will, and then being entrepreneurs kind of on the side, and now upgrading to having that have more like, I guess, of a share of what you do.
I think from just doing this is about scaling. A lot of people don't really talk about this, especially our Black and brown people in our community. You got to scale, and you got to know how to use your time effectively. Because you might have the best food, but you don't have the inventory. You might have the best idea, but you don't have the best customer service. So it's about scaling and staying on task to what each other is good at. So I think it's definitely changed as far as like how you scale, how you handle your customers, what you're able to do, your onboarding, because it's only so much time in the day. So you got to be able to scale your time effectively to be able to get the task at hand, and creating a task list and staying on schedule is an important thing when you're doing this stuff. So that's what I think is the biggest change, is staying on task, just pushing forward every day.
I agree. I think we're like laser focused. If it doesn't serve us, we don't do it. If it doesn't fall into our particular niche markets, we say no. And so I think that it has really made us intentional about how we spend our time. And then I think really balance. So we really have this concept of balance for our family, because it can get out of control, having all the different streams of income and things that acquire our attention.
I think that's an important piece that you both touched on there, is like scaling not only the business, but your time management. I know my process, and it's still ever evolving. Like, you see a whiteboard here. This is all my 2023 stuff right here. I have a day planner, so because digital has just become like too much of a sensory overload for me to be purely digital. But tell me like what that looks like for you scaling.
Well, I will say We start off at the end of the year with a planning session and time away from our business. We start there by spending time away from being inside of all of our businesses so that we can one, rest, recharge, and then we can plan for the following year. We plan out what we are or aren't going to do. So we spend time working on our business instead of in our business.
Being able to see 6 months, 3 months in advance is key. A lot of people just live by the seat of their pants, day by day, week by week, but we already know what's gonna what we already kind of projected what's going to happen in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Once you do that, then you can focus. Like I call it the money time. Everybody has that money time, whether you a night owl or early riser. Me myself, I'm an early riser, so I'm getting my money in the money time. So I'm waking up at 7:30, doing input, whatever it is, and I'm hitting the ground running in the morning. By afternoon time, evening, that's not my money time. So I'm doing whatever can be effective in the morning. So you got to find your money time and realize what that is and doing your highest producing thing during that money time. If it's not something that's in your high income producing area, then don't do it. I mean, things come up, emergencies come up, things happen, but you got to protect your time and you got to protect your money time and you got to protect your mind as well. So that's a whole nother thing is protecting your mind, protecting your space, protecting your time. And once you do that, you'll be able to see the fruits of your labor. It's not always about money. And even just your show is like the Rich Man's Podcast. You're not always rich about money. You got different speakers about different things. You can be rich beyond wealth, beyond money, what you can do, what you can bring, what you can foster. So you got to be able to look at that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's your processes. I really like what he said about your money time is understanding your processes. So, like, kind of going back to your original question about what does it look like? So we plan a lot. We were into the fall at this point, almost at the end of this year in terms of planning on what it is that we will and won't be doing. And then understanding the times of days that we work best. I'm a night owl. We're completely opposite. So when he's like going this way, I'm like, oh, it's time to do a little something, and I'm starting to be recharged. And we have to respect that about one another because we're business partners. So we have to figure out when we meet with each other, when those times clash. The other part of what I think too, which is really important about what it is that you just said, is protecting your peace. So my piece is a planner, a paper planner. His piece might be looking a little different than me, but being able to respect those boundaries with each other so that we can be good partners.
All right. So tell me what's great about owning a business or businesses with your spouse.
Well, we spend the most time we spend at work, right? Most of the day, we spend the greatest amount of hours at work. And when we were first dating and when we first got married, we spent a lot of time away from each other. And I don't feel like that was really helpful to, vibe in and learning how to grow together. We tried to find time when we were working corporate jobs, but the best part to me is being able to spend the greater parts of my day with my spouse and learning and working through our different business habits because I think it makes our marriage stronger.
I'm only gonna go as far as I'm gonna take me, but I mean I learned this just in marriage too. Like you only gonna go so far as your spouse can take you. Either your spouse can put you on the next level or hold you back. They're not gonna keep you the same. You either going up or you going back. Just being able to bounce something else, somebody else, having that team factor and know like you're not gonna get any judgment. Yeah, we might get upset with each other, but like just having that no judgment zone, like look at this, what you think about this, like realistically, like that team, having that team factor and partner, knowing that we going in the same direction. Yeah, we going in the same direction for sure. So that team aspect, I think, is the most powerful thing. Two is always greater than one.
I think that's a problem or an issue or a reality that resonates with a lot of married couple these days. That more couples are working couples, and from a scheduling perspective, you're like two ships passing through the night. I know that's what it's like here at the manor. So I can only imagine. So I think that's like an interesting solution to that quandary, to that problem. To well, if we spend 40, 50, 60, 70% of our week working, why not work together on something and assure that we have like that time together, you know? So that's good. Like not all couples like can reach that place, you know? So that's super cool. What would you say is most challenging about running businesses with your spouse?
I think things that you see in your marriage may be magnified when you do business together. So, like for instance, I'm extroverted. I like to talk and engage. And my husband is more of an introverted type person. So he needs that time to think. And I'm like shooting off. So we're like polar opposites a lot of time. So the time that you would normally spend away from your spouse, that's time that we spend together. So that's more time that you could potentially maybe rub them the wrong way, or not respect who they are as a person. So I think that that's always an intentional place. At least for me, we could rub each other the wrong way, and then where's our business going? You know what I'm saying? Like now we don't want to talk to each other at work. We don't want to talk to each other at home.
Yeah.
So we have to really work through those kinds of things so that we're going in the same direction, like he said.
I really don't want to say it's like no negatives, because when you're really working with your best friend and your spouse or whatever, I don't really think it's like a negative. Everything is an opportunity to learn and grow. Like, okay, we have a disagreement in our personal lives. Like, we got to figure that out. Like today, like it's no tomorrow. Like we got to figure it out because
Mhm.
something might come up. Like I got to go to the post office or I got to go do something. I got to let you know. Like you might be mad at me. You turn your phone on do not disturb or whatever, but we still got to handle this. So that's just always an opportunity for us to like, realize that it's not like it's not big. It's not as big as what we think it is, though. So
That's true. I think it does put stuff in perspective. Um, those marital issues that you have. Like, I'm not speaking to him today at all, right?
Mhm.
Going,
I was just gonna ask you, like, you for real D&D your husband?
yeah, of course.
Ah man, you were cold.
For sure. But in the matter, it's bigger than whatever we have going on, because it's Phoenix's legacy. It's our daughter's legacy that we setting up. So at the end of the day, I'm like, oh man, I gotta turn my phone back on and make sure we can talk about business. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
talking about business, we're able to kind of resolve whatever the issue probably is.
My wife and I only really came to the conclusion that we actually probably are better off not being business partners, because like there are times when I just get too corporate at home,
Mm-hmm.
and she just wants me to be like her husband at home, and especially over the last few years now, with like remote work and everything, and having those lines blurred, it's just I think we found that we'd rather like run our individual businesses separately than cross pollinate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I'll assist her with some things, but like that's only like per request. Like we don't dip into each other's stuff anymore, and I think we get along a bit better. I think because of that. Like I said, not everybody can do that. Um, are there boundaries between home and business? How does that work?
I still think, even post pandemic, everybody's still trying to work through that. She has her space, I have my space. Being intentional with your time is just another thing. Like, look, once whatever your appointments is over, like my phone goes to do not disturb after a certain time. I'm focused on you, focused on the kid. Like after a certain time, it's over with. Like, and that's an important boundary that you have to realize. Like I learned this even from the OGs in real estate. It's no emergencies in real estate. People will call you to death. It's not an emergency. That could wait till tomorrow. It's 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. The title company is not open.
What am I going to do about that right
What do
now?
you want me to do about that?
Right.
It's a fire, water. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not a plumber. I'm not a fireman. I'm not a police officer. There's no emergencies. There's no emergencies in tax businesses is it either. Like, what do you want me to do about it? It's not, the IRS ain't open right now, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I first started off in real estate, I would answer my phone at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And I realized, like, the next day, like, that didn't even really even move me forward to what I'm trying to do. Like, that didn't even really even move me forward,
Yeah.
period. So,
But it kind of would set you back at home though. So I'm like, you on your phone, blah, blah,
right.
blah. But then he does the same to me. I think we both made that mistake in building what we're trying to build, that we were in this, what's it, poverty mindset. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
it's a poverty mindset that I have
Got to
to.
keep grinding, kind of keep getting
Yeah,
into it. Yeah, that
yeah,
is a poverty mindset. Like I think we should talk more about as a community. Like that
yeah.
grind mode stuff is bull. Like it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
nonsense,
It's not.
and and it's really hustling backwards when you really sit down and think about it.
You cannot chop a tree with a dull axe. Period.
Facts.
Like we learned that lesson. We drove ourselves into the ground. We were retired, laid up. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because and then also our relationship suffered. Now in our business, if our relationship suffer, we're not making money. You know what I'm saying? We are our brand. Our marriage is our brand. So you know that's counterproductive. So I feel like we made those mistakes early on, and at this point now, I'm queen of like that is not my job, and I am off the clock right now because if you look on our website, we said faith guides all that we do. So we need to spend time in our faith. Our family is the key of what it is and why we doing what we're doing. So we need to make sure that we have ample time to deal with our family. And then comes finances and fun, you know, all that kind of other stuff. So again, being super intentional.
Absolutely. I had the same kind of mentality when I was a younger professional. Like I've got to be available at
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning. You know, even though when every executive I know is like sleep, making money in their sleep, like I got to respond to emails then, just to show them that I'm serious about what I do.
You know.
And and to an extent, like yeah, I did gain a reputation for myself for being like dependable and everything,
Yeah.
but that came at a cost. You
Yeah.
know, that came at an expense, and like I wouldn't do that today. Like the sky literally has to be falling for me to do anything after a certain hour. Like I even mark it down in my planner now. Like okay, five, 4:30, 5 o'clock on. That's family time. From that time
Yeah.
to when my kids are in bed, like that's family time now. What I do from when the kids go to bed to when I go to bed, like I could decide to work on something, or I could do leisure time or whatever. But I think it's important to like cluster your time and really like own your day
Yeah.
and not just let the day happen to you, to your point. So like what are some of those habits that you have? Like our friend Dr. Nicole Williams, she's right now on her tour with her new book discussing basically taking control of your morning, managing your morning, and
Mhm.
just and all the way down to like what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Are you reaching for your phone, or are you meditating or doing push-ups or whatever? Like, can you walk me through like what that day to day looks like for you as serial entrepreneurs and parents, professionals, and a married couple? Because those are many hats to wear. And to Rudy's point, you only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
Mine looks a little bit different. Like I said, because I wake up at anywhere from between 7 and 7:30. So unfortunately, this weather in Cleveland is not letting me be great. I used to walk 20 to 30 minutes outside at 7, between 7 and 7:30. I have a phone call with my partner, script practice for real estate, 7:30. Then that's when I start diving into any notes that I took, inputting things in for the next day. Then I start getting the kid for lunch, school, and drop off to school. Then 9:05, I'm on the phones. I'm making phone calls. It's my money time, so I'm talking to people and I'm following up on phone calls, doing every what I can to put out as many fires as I can before things get going. And that's pretty much how I let my day flow from there.
I need autonomy. So my days look different from day to day. So, and I also give myself grace. So if I do wake up and I reach for my phone and that's the first thing that I do, I give myself grace on that. Um, because that's what I needed to do at that particular time. Um, but mainly I wake up into prayer and meditation. to try to set intention for my day. We make our money in our mind. Our minds is our money. So if we don't control what's going on and what we feed our minds, our money goes down the drain. We start our day as a family. That's one part that stays the same. So Phoenix, she gets dropped off by both parents daily. And people don't understand that. They were like, why do y'all both do like both parents in the car? We drop her off. Like that is our ritual. We need that. We feel off when that doesn't happen. Most of my clients right now are professional athletes, and I work with their nonprofit organizations. So that takes up a good majority of our kind of separate time away. And then we kind of come and reconvene for lunch so that we can kind of reset, like how's your day going or whatever. And then again, both of us pick our daughter up from school. That's something that is routine for her. That's routine for us. And we spend some time together. We do some type of activity. And then we kind of go back when she's taking a nap and do some more work. So that's really kind of like the flow of our day. But we have these really important points where our family gets its time because that's why we do what we do.
Dope, dope. And speaking of Phoenix, like, what has she picked up with like observing, uh, her parents as serial entrepreneurs? Because I'm sure like it's sunk in to an extent.
She knows when daddy has something to do or not, even when you have something to do or has a meeting or have to talk to somebody, she understands. Give me a few minutes and we'll play or we'll go outside or we'll do something. She also picked up how to do marketing. So she picked up a flyer and put it in her book bag.
I saw that story, yeah.
She saw daddy and mommy dropping off flyers to the barber shop, to the hair salon, to the smoothie guy, to the so she put a flyer in her book bag, like, here go my mommy and daddy. Like, so that's what we do. We grind and we put flyers everywhere. So she put a flyer in her book bag. Look at my mommy and daddy. So
Yeah.
she picked that up and we told her, like, you're gonna start your business, whether it's this business, Tax Solutions, Jones Consulting. She loves to bake. So whether it's baking, we do gardening. So you can do table to plate, that's what you want to do. You can sell organic vegetables. She likes to do artwork, so she can knit, she can do other things. So we already told her, like, you're going to start your business in just a couple of years. Once you start developing a little bit more reading and math and everything, you're going to start your business. You can do baking, you can do art. So those are probably the two things that she could probably start up before she turns 10 or something. Like, I mean, so
y'all about to be screaming from the rooftops, my daughter has cookies, my daughter has tomatoes.
all right.
No, she honestly, and he's kind of being humble. This is a numbers guy. He can add and subtract, multiply, divide these numbers like in his head. It blows me out of the water. I go right to get the calculator or whatever and do what I got to do, but he does it in his head. And she has picked up that same habit. She is a 5-year-old adding 4-digit numbers. She's doing a lot that she sees us do. She's also very tenacious. She's picked up our business tactics, and I see her utilizing them. She says, she talks a lot about, well, mommy, you persist and you're persistent. So I'm going to persist too. And it takes it into the classroom with her. So I do notice like some of just our mannerisms she's picked up, and her love for wanting to be part of the family business and her having pride in the family businesses and things like that. So it's been really interesting to watch this little human develop herself. She's about to be a savage.
So it's tax season 2023. Tax Solutions is going strong. So what's new this year to speak to with taxes as compared to last year? Last year, most notably, the government was making it rain with the stimmies, with that seemingly endless blank check they had written, for pandemic and post-pandemic support. And now, from what I've observed, like they're dialing that back.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what's going on in 2023 with tax season. What should people be on the lookout for?
It's about planning, man. Because by the time the year is over and you send me your paperwork, guess what? That year's over. There's nothing you can do to change it. So I'm always talking to my clients about planning. You got a kid, you got something going on, you starting a business. It's always about planning. You always need to stay one step ahead. Like you said, there's no more stimulus. The child tax credit is back down to 1,500 or 2,000. Earned income credit is back to where it was 2019. There's no more business COVID credit. So if you had a business, you can get that COVID money. It's no more of that. It's no more stimmy checks.
But at the same time, they're raising the standard deduction
Right.
each year. So they're making it harder to itemize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always just focus on planning, because your refund or what you owe is only a result of what you did. That's really what it's about for me. Like going forward is just like making sure I'm educating and planning and giving my clients value on what should I look out for next year? What should I do? A lot of times I don't know because they just decided to end the COVID credits, or they just decided to not give the stimuluses, or the child independent care that they had last year was like $8,000. Now it's back to $600. It's like, bro, what am I going to do? Spending all this money on child care and I only get $600 credit. Like it was through the roof. So a lot of things with the states have changed. So you got to watch, everybody wants to be focused on the IRS, but you got to be really focused on your state and your local taxes too, depending on where you live at. Some states don't have it, but you need to really be focused on it if you live in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, the Midwest, because the Midwest, every state has state taxes, unfortunately, because we don't have anybody coming here to spend any money. So Florida, Alabama, Texas, they have lower states, state taxation, and Florida ain't got no state taxes. Tennessee doesn't have no state taxes either. So when a client says, "Oh, my refund is big this year, I like that," or "Why do I owe so much?" You got to change your W-4. You got to change your lifestyle. You got to pay more taxes because the standard deduction has went up, or those credits that you were dependent on, they're just not there anymore. Like it's really just about planning for me. It's always been just about planning, honestly.
Yeah. And education. I just think that at this point people are not educated in what income tax season really is and what it's about. And so I think we spend a lot of our time educating people on what it is. Like, well, they're not giving me no money. I was like, we're not supposed to be giving you any money. That's not what the point is. And paying attention to some parts of the politics of things and laws that are being passed, and understanding how they're sneaking in
the American Rescue Plan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
American Rescue Plan is going until 2026. A lot of stuff was an 8-9 year thing, 7-8 year thing. So a lot of stuff still has not even, you ain't even seen nothing.
We don't even know what parts have or have not been rolled out yet. We know a little bit more because we read tax law verbatim. But like at some point, education and planning, I can't even.
Yeah, that's like one conversation I've been having, touch and go with different people over the last year since the American Rescue Plan was signed into law, was paying close attention to the businesses and industries that plan supports, because that's probably where you want to put your money, moving forward, because like if it's law, then that's where the money's going to go, so that's where you want to be.
Owing is not, it's not a bad thing. It just means you just didn't pay enough, or you made a lot more money than you thought, or the credits are just not there for you to. Owing is not a bad thing. IRS has a wonderful thing called a payment plan. You don't gotta all pay it at once. They'll give you time. They'll give you to the deadline of April 18th. You can file an extension if you don't want to do your taxes right now. They'll give you 6 months. They'll let you borrow their money for 6 more months until you have to pay it back. So it's not a bad thing to owe. Like
it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. Like just because you owe, they'll let you get 6 more months to pay a bill. What? Who else doing that? The mortgage company ain't. Your car note ain't. The gas and the light bill, they been cut your stuff off for 6 months. So owing is not a bad thing. Like when
it's fine if you stay on top of it.
Yeah.
People tend to let things snowball and just ignore it until they're in the red, and then before you know it,
it's a bad thing if you don't plan.
Yeah.
and understanding how it works. Like when people, they think we personally took their money if they owe, they were like, where's my money? I'm like, well, we don't have it, but you do have it. You got it on your paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
Here.
Now you got to pay some
Now
of it
you
back.
have to pay a little bit back. That's the conversation that we have to have.
Yeah. That reminds me of a person I used to work with. She had like the least amount I think deducted from her paychecks as possible,
Yeah.
for a year. And then Uncle Sam came back around and said, "Yo, you run me that money." And then she actually went back to the employer and said, like, "Yo, where that money at?" And I remember trying to explain to her, like, you made the money already. Like, it's how you managed it, like you got to pay to play in this society. I remember my brother was telling me years ago that just like how society in America in particular actually works. When you're a child, from childhood to 18, society embraces you. They give you everything you need to survive. They give you food, they give you shelter, education, all of that. But when you reach that legal age, now you got to pay society back, like, because it's a communal thing, with it doesn't matter how personally connected you feel to it, like you've got to pay out and give society that return on their investment in you.
So you just spoke truth to power on that, like really understanding how the world works around you. Some people didn't understand why I got a degree in political science when I went to Ohio State. That was one of my degrees. I wanted to know how the world works. I wanted to know different political thought. I wanted to know how to listen and debate. And so those things help you along the way to understand the world you sit in, whether it's fair or not.
I'm not the least bit concerned with like what's fair. Like I just want to know how to set myself and my family up to succeed within this construct.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe later on I can find my way to make different changes. But so what's next for you two?
That's a good one. I was just thinking about that. I'm actually studying to become a certified bookkeeper. So that's going to enable me to help my community as far as with these small businesses, because unfortunately, you may be good at podcasting, but you don't want nothing to do with your books, right? You don't want nothing to do with, you're an influencer, but you don't want to do nothing with your books. You're good at doing hair, but you don't know how much money you made. So that's definitely my next step. I already started. I just got to finish up my certifications. I'm doing Intuit bookkeeping. I get so many questions. When you gonna start? When you gonna start? So I'm gonna start this year. I just got to finish up my certifications. Once I finish that, I'll be able to do just monthly bookkeeping, data entry, spreadsheets, more spreadsheets, statement of cash flows. Like a lot of people don't even know how much money they're bringing in per month. Like
Oh, that's so clutch. It's so clutch.
Statement of cash flows. Like I even tell my clients, I know exactly how much money I made every month. Period.
Yeah.
Like I might not go weekly, bi-weekly, but I know exactly how much money I'm bringing in every month, and you should too. So
yeah,
you need to make sure that your bookkeeping is a little bit tighter. I'm not saying it got to be world renowned, but at least have your bookkeeping. And like when the bank asks for statement of cash flows or a balance sheet, you don't know what's going on. You like, what statement of who? And this is like we went to Futureland. My big thing is access to capital, A to C. We got to get better at providing the banks and who the venture capitalists what they need to have to be able to tap into all this access to capital, man. Like, and the first thing they're looking for is bank statements, statement of cash flows, your tax return, your 1099s. Are you 1099ing yourself? Are you 1099ing your employees? Like, stop paying them under the table. Like, it's not a write off when you do that. Like, they just think you got the money sitting there. Stop
I've
paying.
had to lecture two people on that.
Like,
both business owners. I'm like, start writing your customers' receipts.
yes.
Like, don't just take the Cash App. Start cutting receipts and don't commingle it with whatever else you're doing, because it's going to get so convoluted and discombobulating at some point. And it's not going to serve you for when you want to grow your business, when you want to go to a credit union or a bank or whatever for a business loan.
Correct.
Because they're going to want to see the books.
Mm-hmm.
You're limiting your access to capital for that. So I'm so proud of him because he was, in accounting in college, and he just thought that business would be a better path for him. So to see him kind of come back around to it and get his certifications and stuff like that, I'm just super proud because he is numbers guy. So I think that he'll definitely be serving his community well, by helping them with their books and helping them get to a place where they can then have access to capital.
And once we get that bookkeeping, you'll be able to see how much money you in. Then I can do spreadsheets for statement of cash flows. Then you can know your net worth of your business, like by statement of shareholders' equity. How much equity do you have in your company? Like how much liquid cash do you have? Do you have a savings account? Through this bookkeeping, it's important for us small businesses because we don't come from that. We come from money under mattresses and not writing receipts. And
Yeah.
my dad ran a landscape company for years, and he used a notebook. I don't know what he was doing. He was good at what he did, but he could have had 2, 3, 4, 5 trucks if he would have had access to capital, put his money in a business bank account, not just taking money and just throwing it in a notebook. And he had a checklist of, okay, I did this, who didn't pay, and all that stuff. So being able to have proper bookkeeping in this country is what we need to get access to capital. When you go into Huntington or Chase or any bank, they're going to want them to see your tax return, your statement of cash flow. Are you profitable? Like how much money you bringing in every month? No business really has that.
Yeah.
They oh, I got my cash up. I made $500.
You can't evaluate your business either.
You can't evaluate your business on a cash app saying I got $500 coming in. How much did you spend out? They want to see a statement of cash flows, owner's equity, like how much equity is in the business. Why would I invest some money if I don't know how much money is coming in the business, bro? Like that's
you can tell that puts him on fire, as you can see.
That's crazy. Like I even called Huntington.
That burns his biscuit a little bit.
They was like, we'll give you a loan of 20% of how much you bringing in. Well, how much are you bringing in, sir? I don't know. Right. If they can't clearly see how much money you bringing in, is it 60K, 70K, 80K, 100K? If they don't know, they're not going to give you the 20%.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, just it's the mission of what we do. We want our communities to be better, and we want to be profitable while helping them. The other parts of that's kind of what's coming soon is more technology to what it is that we do. Tax Solutions is really a tech company that does taxes. We're going to be bringing on different partners, and we're going to have different software and applications coming soon.
Dope. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's running several businesses right now, but he's just now kind of really acclimating to the bookkeeping piece and tracking input versus output, which is what we're discussing here. And I told him plain and simple, you are transitioning from being a hustler to being a businessman.
Right.
And they're two very different things. A hustler, that's whatever you can to get by day to day. You're making scratch. You find different creative ways to make money, to make paper. A business person, they're thinking about input versus output. They're thinking about beyond what's happening today or tomorrow. They're looking, to your point, quarterly, year over year, investing, securing returns on investments, growth. So I think that's very important because again, like this whole grind and hustle culture, like we've got to get out. That's a poverty mindset that's designed to keep us poor.
Yes.
It's designed to keep us at the little kiddie table, with these non-black folks. Like that keeps us at bay. That keeps us, as part of, the 90+%.
Yeah.
Is hustling versus being a business person. So I think that's a very important point that I just wanted to further expound on and articulate here before we break. Well, this is wonderful. I'm always delighted to see you too, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Tell the people where they can find you.
Find us on Instagram at Tech Solutions Inc. We on Facebook, Tech Solutions Inc. We also have a link tree where we have our website. We also doing some things closer. We're going to be developing an app, like she said. So the app is going to take you to the website. You're going to be able to pay. You're going to be going to do a lot, like being able to upload your documents right into the app.
Honestly,
it's just going to be a lot of stuff that we're trying to interface.
Honestly, what's coming down the pipeline is just going to be major. We're going to disrupt the market. We're going to disrupt the large two or three in our industry. We're going to give people a cultural option instead of using your H&R Blacks and larger companies. You're going to have an option to work and buy Black in your finances and have the appropriate software and the equipment and the technological being to do so. Follow Jones Consulting Firm as well. Jones Consulting Firm is definitely blowing up in terms of sports philanthropy, but we help everyone, much like he was just talking about. We help everyone along the way. So we're excited.
My number hasn't changed since 2006. We do have a business line. A lot of people message me on Facebook, Rudy Jones. She's Francesca Jones. Messages will respond. Tax Solutions Inc. 2014 at gmail.com has been our same email since we started. The email has not changed whatsoever. Like people ask me, what's your email? Where I send the documents? Email it to me. I have the same email since I started.
People want to do business with people,
Yeah,
not brands. And so that's one of the things. We are our brand. We are the face of our brand. We are reachable, and we will always remain reachable as we scale. That's what's coming soon too. As we scale and become bigger, we will always be accessible to everyone.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever I can do to support that or be a part of it, please let me know as always, because I'm excited by that kind of stuff, and that's part of why I do what I do here is connecting dots and people, and having the right conversations in front of the right audience. So this was fantastic. If you made it this far in the video, make sure you hit that like button, share this video anywhere and everywhere. Share it on Facebook, share it on your Twitters, share it on Instagram, share it on any platform I'm at. Be sure to follow me on all the social medias. That's at NS4K Podcast on Instagram. That's at social media, at No Sympathy for Kings, pretty much everywhere else. And as always, my good people, a lack of discipline may cost you your kingdom. No sympathy for kings. Peace out.
Peace out.